And do you need sound, I guess? Yeah. Yeah. Ooh.
Good. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. What's the focus like on this? There. I can't see the detail. I'm never going to see the detail. What's that about? It's all right. It's enjoyable. You'll learn to orientate the camera just a tiny bit to get the edge of the screen here. Oh no, that edge of the screen. Yeah. You can come back a bit. Although, if you groups,
Perfect. You want to give the sound up?
it does too.
Yeah.
Go on. Do not look at the screen, look at the level of illumination. Dark years, full.
You are putting onto the onto the projector.
Can we try that?
Good, brilliant.
What
I'm gonna watch it and then I'm gonna go. Yeah,
We're being live. Yes, so I was wearing. I was tapping it, it's okay. So first off, well done for surviving day 2. We're over there. Probably more 2 things. It's Francois' wedding anniversary, and he's got it with us. And also, it's Matt's birthday tomorrow, but he's not here. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Matt has been fantastic with all your videoing, which we're actually going to see now.
This morning we're going around and asking people why their ideas are awesome. I hope you like the answers.
My name is Rebecca and I'm from Sense of Plates, and our idea is awesome for many reasons, but the main one being that it's going to exist in a cafe, it's going to give people something to do whilst they're in the cafe, it's going to be a new interactive way of interacting with the ceramic collection that's inside the cafe and display at the moment. Also, it's going to allow people to personalise their plates and add to a growing collection about Derby's social history.
My name's Dave Gerrard. I'm part of Team Engine, and our idea is awesome because we aim to make an open source community powered by this Team Engine.
I'm Steve from Team Engage. We're working on the railway exhibition, the railway section. Our project is totally awesome because you get to run around pulling levers at high speed, it's totally frantic, and you're trying to avoid crashing trains and save everybody's life. How could it be more awesome than that?
We are Team Squeeze Bangalore, and we think our idea is awesome because you are interacting with this beautiful Rogers machine and also seeing what is actually happening inside the engine digitally. You're learning from doing, and you're also working together in a team, so there'll be 4 people interacting with this engine. And once you've done that, you have this amazing outcome. Start flying exercise.
Hi, I'm Jill Carlson from Museums Conversations. We're creating a 3D tactile interactive map for the city of Derby. It's awesome because people can come in and share their own stories and have a conversation with the museum.
So my name is Selma and my team is called the Sample Room. And what we're doing is really awesome because it's about community curation, it's about responsive curation. Basically, the idea of the sample room is that 3 objects will be taken out of a store that are normally locked away, not seen by anyone. And visitors will come in and we will measure their response to these objects. So we will, for example, measure their heart rate, their temperature, their pulse, how they're actually feeling for this object. And the object that's most helpful will get some company from the storeroom. And that way, the museum community is very determining which objects are brought in, and objects are brought to life that are normally locked away on the shelf of the store.
Hi, I'm Pernille, I'm from Denmark, and I'm part of the Circle group. Our idea is awesome because we are creating a digital tunnel from the museum to the outside world. So it will be a physical manifestation in the museum and in places outside in Derby. So you can get a connection between the museum, the historical content of the museum, and what is happening in real time in Derby right now.
This is the evening of day 2, and we've pretty much got their reviews. Now I'm going to ask you guys what you feel about how the space has been used and what they've come up with and the project.
And it's an interesting question because I know some of them are still unsure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that the space is really connected to today, actually. It was an exploratory space yesterday, people getting the feel of it, getting to kind of get a grips with what it was like, what the atmosphere of it was like. It feels much more relaxed today, even though people are more stressed in some senses, because there's an easier, people have understood really what's available, the resources that we've got, the fact that the tech shop's there, the working there. I think the footsteps are really coming on as a team.
Yeah, that's right. I think in terms of pushing boundaries with what they've come up with, pushing museum boundaries. Yeah. I
think everyone's chosen something that's really different, that appeals and that they're passionate about. And I think they're really integrating some of the technology that we have and some of the skills that we have into the mix in terms of what they're coming up with.
Okay guys, so this is it. This is day 2, and tomorrow we come back for day 3, which we'll see our final prototypes and hopefully happy Timber with smiles on our faces.
The next movie is something we sent to all the other Museomix. So, what is Rosie here? Yeah, do you want to say a word?
Yeah, sure. So we felt it was really lovely that all of the French-speaking places made an effort to make some sort of video for us in English. And we wanted to reciprocate by doing something in French.
Bad French.
But as you know, we English are not great at foreign languages.
Oh, okay.
We took inspiration from Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's play it.
Et maintenant, le voyage dans le musée. Bienvenue dans Rocher. On se retrouve maintenant. Sur la partie.
It had a great success in the open Museomix, so we will have an answer tomorrow. Right. So now we will see some videos made by the other Museomix in English for us. So we have a couple to see this.
My name is working here. I'm one of two facilitators in our team. We work on the inside of the museum, getting people. We're looking at a different way of revisiting the museum, seeing more what happens before and how we get the object, what actually happens to the objects instead of just the object out of context in a box being presented.
So here in Saint-Étienne, we have decided to invent a new process to let the visitors discover Museomix. We always say that the best way to discover Museomix is to experience Museomix. So what we will do is to take the visitors to discover one tricycle a specific tricycle that tells the story about Saint-Etienne. Then they discover all the technical facilities that we have for Museomix. And then they go for a little moment of brainstorming, as you can see here, and they do the exact same thing that the Museomix mixers did the first morning when they were here.
Well done, nice day. Okay, so for tonight we're going to have the facilitators introduce their own team. So I'm going to start with Team Engine. So, and I'm assuming that's through your name. So I think there's been some name changes here. So Team 7, Team Engine.
Are we all coming up now?
Yes, please. Sorry, it's my fault. And facilitators. Happy birthday.
Quite a bad coming forward.
When we launched it, we have
Okay, so this is Team Engine. We are one of the chefs at the bus all the way home. But they're an incredible team. They work exceptionally hard on something I do not understand. But today the project completely transformed, makes a lot of sense, looks really good, and I'm excited.
Okay. I'm going to start, before we start the video, I just want a little quick preamble. So yesterday, just to recap what our project is, we are basically in love with the Grasshopper engine, steam engine, and the whole idea was we were wanting to try and get some movement into the project. So yesterday the problem was we found out fairly early that the Grasshopper engine doesn't actually move that often. It gets steamed up about 7 times a year. So, and then also the other problem was there wasn't an obvious way of connecting anything to it. So at 2 o'clock this morning I woke up, and as a coder, I thought, well, when I'm writing code, how do I connect it to things? So there's a concept of an API. It's a way that a programmer will connect their code to somebody else's code and share information with it. So I suddenly thought then, what's the API for a steam engine, Victorian steam engine? And it turns out it's a stick. Well, technically it's a shaft, but stick sounds a bit nicer. So, what happens is what comes out from the engine is basically a rotating force. So you get a long metal shaft that spins round, well, rotates round. And that's the API. So at that point, I started to think, well, if all we do is create that interface that other people can then start connecting their machinery onto, then that would probably be something we could get done in 3 days. So, should we start the video?
Yeah, we can start, and I can start explaining also the journey of the user, of the visitor. We're gonna start with the machine. I think there's a lot of white space though, so I can talk. Okay. So it starts with the grasshopper. So the person, the visitor, comes into the museum and you see the machine not moving. Now you're lucky you see it moving because they turned it up for us this morning. But it would be like this big machine, and what does it mean? What does it do? We could, put books there and explain everything that people read. But we wanted more tactile. So starting with the idea of the API, we decided to make an analog version of it and link it back to the big machine. So this is what you're seeing right now, where we asked the fabricators that are very, very nice with us and working lots and lots of things, doing lots of things for us. We're doing a bit of the engine, not the whole thing, but just the starting part of it. And then we'd want the people to turn the handle and try to create motion and start thinking about, how they would be able to maybe create their own. Because you're going to see in the second part of the video that they will come into what we call the interface, CAD lab interface. There's a smart screen where they get more content. So we're going to show a video of the actual machine moving. Somebody, Pete, that was there this morning to turn it off, very passionate about it. He explained, why this machine is so beautiful. It was made with love, not like the machines of today, like the things you would expect. And this is the kind of screen. Now you cannot see it, but it says make your own machine. You can click on the story, have more content, and that's where you would also find the video. The user would press and play. You could also, I'll try and follow what she does. Oh, book an appointment to come to the Fab Lab, because they cannot run the Fab Lab all the time. But you could pick a date, pick a time, and book right there. And there would be a button, so it would send an email to you, so you know when you book yourself. Machines at the silk mill. This would be an archive of the machines that they have at the mill. Oh, it's already, and we feel inspired and collaborative. But I still have a few things to say that I want to add to that. Is that we want to make people, like they can touch the things. There's going to be, we called it this morning. We called it a Dropbox, so everybody would understand. But right next to the machine, there would be a Dropbox. And if you make a piece, you leave it there for somebody else to use. And you could also on the board download PDF files that helps you, like the sketches, AutoCAD files, or PDF that you can download. And then when you come to the atelier, I don't know how you say it, workshops, you can get to print your model you have in your mind, and then you leave it there. And you can also, people can upload and download from the website. So it's very collaborative. And, maybe once or twice we thought it would be fun because I think 6 times a year they turn on the machine, so you could link it to the machine, whatever piece that was made with a 3D cutter. And it's also where we're merging, old machines with new machines, but machines making machines. But this time it's like people making machines. Also, people are involved. It's the power of everybody together. Because before it was like, the factory owner would, set up a plan and do the machine. But now it would be more of a collaborative effort. And I think it goes well with the first part, where we are all working today, the part of the Derby Museum where everybody's working. And did you bring the piece or?
Right. Yeah,
but
it's all still
the
glue is still drying.
Yeah, but so that was
Excellent. Any questions or feedback tonight?
Goodbye then.
That's great. No, I'm happy it's not.
Can I?
Okay, no, go on.
It's just not a question at all. I just like to say your idea is awesome.
Yay, thank you.
It was those two things. We want to do a motion thing where we connect things, and then we walked in and we were like, oh yeah, it doesn't ever move, and there's nothing that. We were stuck with that for that day.
Good thing you didn't see.
Yeah, you can thank the cat for that.
Okay, thank you guys.
Team 6.
And I'm going to follow the circle, but at some point there, I was following the hexagon, so I'm going to learn with you guys what you're doing tonight, and you need to come up.
Okay, so today it's been again quite a journey for all of us, I think. There was some crisis, some lows, some up moments, and I think now, and I want to thank everybody who's helped us to shape up the ideas, and I think we've got some concrete ideas for what we want to do. Yes, I think. And I'm going to let them explain everything, but I think you guys have done an amazing job at turning that around today.
Yeah, so did you. Yeah, we did a total U-turn. So the idea of the game, the race that we presented yesterday, doesn't exist anymore. And therefore, it's everything is pretty much an idea still. But the basic idea is to make a tunnel between the past and the present. On the one end of the tunnel, we have the museum and its objects and stories from the past. And in the other end, we have places in public space in Derby. These are places that somehow refers to the objects and stories in the museum. So what we would really like is to create a tunnel that has a physical manifestation in the museum, something like tunnel you go into or stick your head into, so the physicality is there, and then a similar representation somewhere in the city where you also stick your face in, and then have a two-way interpretation or a tunnel between the two places. Just 1 second. So we did kind of brainstorm on places and subjects for the tunnels, and a ton of ideas came up, and that just showed us that there was a lot of possibilities in this. But we had to settle on something to try to move on. So
this is how I work. Okay, you're going about your ordinary everyday life. You're being where you have to be, and then people tend not to have to be at museums, but people do tend to have to be at railway stations. So you're sitting there on an ordinary day, and then suddenly you see something extraordinary. What's this? It's a tunnel at a railway station. There is not just any tunnel. This tunnel, you look into it, and you see what you expect at a railway station. You see timetables and trains, except you realise as you look that you're seeing timetables and trains and arrivals and departures and speeds that were happening exactly 100 years ago. And you wonder, how does that compare with what's happening around? And you get that eerie feeling that somebody's looking back at you through the tunnel. So if you follow the thread to the centre of the silk mill, somebody is looking back, and from the silk mill, you will be real-time data to say what's happening now for people who have transported themselves to the fantastic objects. But this doesn't have to be with trains, okay? This idea will lend itself to anything. I've been talking to florists today, and into my way to the way here. I went into a florist, and I was thinking about silk, and apparently we have a jar of silk that may or may not have been made in the silk mill. So we could take that silk digitally or actually to the florist as some silk flowers up there, which they can weave their artistic florist magic and arrange some piece of art for it, and we can link it with silk costumes here. It doesn't have to be trains, but with the trains, we've got the possibility of using real-time data.
That's just the case we're using right now, is to get these real-time data and the magic of standing and looking at something historically and getting the feeling of what's happening right now outside in the world. So that's basically the idea of making a tunnel and linking two places to each other.
Do you have a video?
Yeah, I think
we made a short video of a visit, simulate a visit in a normal day. Yeah, in a normal day with 4 people as usual, and so entering the museum, we go just straight to the main attraction that find just at the end of the that locomotive train. The first we met, that is a train of 1910. Yeah, so you have a look of the prototype, and then you find our prototype, that is a terminal, obviously, as you can see, with a screen inside, and focusing on zooming on the prototype, you will find a first images, the first screen with a description of the locomotive, and then a second image of the time tunnel. That means the real time. Sorry, can you stop just? Before, on this timetable, you will find the real time, the actual time, the dates, and our journey of the day, the actual day, and the same day in 1914. So we found the data of 100 years ago, and what you find indicated are the number of trains arrived until that moment, that means 1642, in 1914 and in 2014, and the length of the journey. That means that obviously in 2004, from London to Derby, today it took 2 hours more or less, and 1914 it took I think 5 hours more or less. That's a comparison. We are going to do that, just an example. In the meanwhile, in the train station, we will have another terminal with the same images that will explain about the train that we have at Derby, and something like this last prototype we had, with the description of 2 journeys.
I think I'm so impressed with how much you guys gained from yesterday, and I think the 4 people from activity back from last year can relate to what they've gone through this year and smile and nod, and you know how important it is too. But well done for how far you came. Just put your hand up back here for a question or comment. Okay, well done. Really proud of you guys, and keep going. I see you guys speak, because I'm not quite sure you talk. Okay, I'm gonna go with suck, squeeze, bang, blow. I hate that name card. Really think you're 14 again. Okay, come on. Come on, guys, come on. Yay! Come on.
Suck, squeeze, bang, blows. Neither.
Can you say that again, just so I can build that going?
I have to physically, mentally think about the process.
Oh, go on.
All right.
So you're learning already.
The suck, squeeze, bang, blow team. Neither sucks nor blows. They've been awesome. Initially, yesterday, there was a bit of ideas going down, and it all got squeezed down to a project which I think will go off with a bang. So without
We need your help.
This magnificent Rolls-Royce RB211 engine, made here in Derby, is trapped in the silt now.
We must make it fly.
But how does a jet engine work?
It's simple.
Can you work together to be a jet engine?
So first, apologize to everybody for the number of times you've heard that jet engine.
Try not to say number of times.
So yeah, in terms of where we are from yesterday, we've refined, developed, squeezed together where we're at, and yeah, we'll hope that's something that will work tomorrow.
Do you want to talk to the triggers?
No. I've talked enough about them today. So we've got 4 different things going on. 3 of them we're controlling through a makey, which is a lovely, beautiful little bit of electronic engineering. That means you can plug pretty much anything into it as long as you can switch it, and it pretends it's a keyboard. We've had some fantastic help from the Mixreality guys to Francis, yeah, we've been the best space with Fraser. Fraser, I thought. It's been a long day. Yeah, in terms of actually making it work, and yeah, we will see tomorrow how effective that is, and then fix all the problems, and then it'll be really good.
Those are the triggers. That wasn't that extra triggers, and what you haven't seen yet is the takeoff. You've heard it.
Yeah.
That's what's that.
So today we've been trying to kind of take the things that are good and kind of make them as big and as impressive as they can be. So with physical triggers, we try to really get the best action for each stage and make that movement, that kind of sucking and the squeezing, to make it as big and as memorable and impactful as possible. And also for the takeoff side of things, we've been playing with some lighting and more sound effects, and we're going to do as much as we can tomorrow to make that a really impressive event and a real kind of takeaway from the exhibition.
So if anyone's got an amplifier, should we record?
Yeah, this is very
good.
You retweet it.
I can bring.
Well, somebody let me speaker.
It needs. We've got
this speaker, which we're sharing with the bigger.
And a subwoofer maybe.
Yeah.
And a subwoofer, really big fan that's very, very powerful.
And a smoke machine.
Does anybody have to answer all that?
Yeah, I'd just like to say I think it's really really interesting in terms of the interactive element of the work that you're doing here. So we actually had, and I think we met him, one of the lead engineers who's working on the 2025 technology for Rolls-Royce come in today. And he really loved what the professor doing. He was really interested in it, and it engaged him, which, you know, as someone who's working on that future technology, to then be able to feel the person of the school, able to be involved in was really nice. It's just a comment back.
I have to say, I think, I second that the idea of the physical interaction is an excellent way of just teaching the basics of how a jet engine works. And it's very memorable because you sort of, when you actually engage in it, you know, it's such a good way of learning, retaining that information, but you can physically relate to it.
We're not going to forget.
I think the most important thing for me, this whole thing, is when on the tour, that room felt like a really dead space, and we really want to bring it to life. Yeah, more stuff we can throw at it and plans.
What about like, people think about, because I do 3D graphics, almost like not having any graphics, and then if we had more time, we could just do it with manual things, real objects, and just take out the 3D graphics, like some more visceral things. Perhaps anyone, I don't know. That might be
I came here to do coding, and today I've been messing around with sticks, and I'll tell you what, it's much more fun.
Traditional, and, yeah, so sometimes, because it's really good, they've got the real objects, because when you just, 3D graphics is a solution for everything, but not obviously just for the sake of it, you use real objects, real things. Yeah.
I was just going to add on the end, when you make it fly, is there any way you get a badge where you get your wings?
Is that you offering to make a whole special Any other questions or comments?
Really, we're really loving the feedback tonight, guys.
Hey, well done, guys. just go on my paper, guys.
So this is Museums of Conversation. Yeah, this working really hard today, done really well. At the beginning of the day, I think we're still trying to figure out and pin down exactly what we wanted to do, holding on to that core idea of people being able to share their personal stories with the museum about the collections and Derby itself. And I think we've come miles ahead of what happened, but yeah, that's the wild thing.
Before you play that, I just want to make a quick apology to Jill because now you have to hear her say a bit about it being awesome again. Because we realised sort of just before we had the video that we didn't have anyone else explaining what our prototype was actually going to do apart from that bit. So we had to leave the commentary from there. So I'm really sorry.
2 times for the price of 1.
Hi, I'm Jill Crosby from Museum Conversations. We're creating a 3D tactile interactive map of the city of Derby. It's awesome because people can come in and share their own stories and have a conversation with the museum.
Programs that will detect when you fix areas of buildings and touch
Excellent. And how tired are you right now? Oh, that's not bad. You know, okay. I would like to point out that video makes so much more sense for Phillips. Whatever that was.
I also point out that we had a brainstorming session last night in the pub. And that was the crucial tipping point in the whole thing. And things start to take off after that. And it is actually, I mean, when I gave my pitch yesterday, I had this little vision, and the vision is still there and is growing, and I'm very encouraged by what happened. But also the fact is that we can combine things like, I mean, technology can be just technology, but we're actually getting in there things like tactility and sound and vision and lots of other things as well. And it's very exciting, but I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen tomorrow.
Any questions or feedback?
What is it?
Interactive tactile map of the city of Derby.
So actually, can you get the last sort of frame of the video?
Yeah, sure.
So it's got some sort of feedback in it.
Yeah.
Actually, what it is, it's a touchscreen that we have put a physical map on top with buildings, and when you touch the buildings, it will trigger things on the touchscreen underneath.
Right, so it's a bit blurry, but still. So the idea is you've got your touch screen down here, and it's really cool, and nobody's drawn on it yet. Do it's wicked. And then we've got a kind of perspex overlay here. You've got the 3D buildings, which are points of interest. I think we've all said kind of ideally, eventually, like basically everything in the city would be interactive, but for the sake of getting something done within the space of time that we have, it's going to be 5 or 6 points, I think. 10, okay, great. 10 points, which you can actually interact directly with. And the idea is that the buildings have a, I'm going to call it a blob. The Fab Lab came up with the worst name for it, but we're going with blob.
That's what it is. Come on.
No, you can ask the Fab Lab because it is a little bit. Anyway.
It's a piece of anatomy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
obvious now.
Yeah. So, so with your blob on the bottom, we've lost. So you can depress the building, which will then bring it into contact with the touchscreen. It doesn't have to be a finger that touches the touchscreen, it could be anything, so that's fine. And that will trigger the sort of sharing your story thing that we kind of talked about yesterday when we were still talking about it on a picture.
It will trigger some output from the museum saying this is the museum story about whatever that building is in very quickly few facts. But then it will say, now, okay, the rest of the screen is for you. Now you add your story. Say with the market hall, which lots of people in Derby will have used and have memories of and still use. It's still there and they'll use it up. And they will have the opportunity then. It's a split screen, add their stories. It's a continuous scrolling process that will go on growing.
I'm interested in seeing this part. I'm having a hard time visualizing it.
I think you need to say that there's another screen.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry, there will be a projection on the wall where you see the feedback. So you have the map where you interact, and then you will get the feedback on the wall where there will be people's stories, but there will also be stories from the museum.
And one of the really great things is we put up just a map that we printed off, we put it up on the wall, and there was a couple that came in with the kids, and they said that they started writing on the post-it notes we left up, and they said,
yeah. So I went back and was like, oh, most of these are going to be like, yeah, you know, because we just literally put, what's your Derby story? And I was like, they're all going to just say, I love Derby, or oh, Derby's rubbish. And then there was this one post that this couple put up and said, we met in Derby 14 years ago. I was up for the day or something, and now we're married with kids. Like, oh, that's a really good story. So people do really want to share that kind of.
I think there was another one also. Someone's father was in the army in Derby, and then they moved away and came back. Yeah. So, and just by talking to different people who are from here, everyone we showed them a map. And oh yeah, that's where that place used to be, but it's not there anymore because.
So we have actually got we actually have got a 3D render model of the city.
Yeah,
we had a bit of a look. And it'd be really interesting to see for us. I think the kind of context of those two things in some sense. But the feedback from that was always people loved it. So, and I think you've obviously got that back from some of the audience feedback you've had today. And the idea of collaborative collecting of stories and that kind of sense of place, I think, explore push quite far.
And this is the type of thing that could then be put in any city or in any museum about anything that you have in there. I mean, we have a lot of different ideas, and this could be adaptable to pretty much anything.
Sorry, can I just say I really love it. I've just been working on a project which is like an online maps project, which collapses historical maps so you can look back. And the problem with our project is that it's too digital. There's nothing physical enough. There's nothing. There's no place people can go to draw, and it's the website, and it's sort of like, well, I'll go to that later. But I've just got the big rest of that project goes in next week. I wish I'd seen something like this. But it's an awesome way to kind of combine the two.
Well, after Monday, you'll have a prototype.
I like it.
Just a question about, is it just triggered by the building themselves, or could it be the spacing as well?
We would like to do the spacing, but I think in terms of practicality at the moment, we're struggling to do that. So for now, it's kind of just.
And a building will resemble in a bit like Monopoly's buildings, but they will resemble it actually a little tiny cathedral, a little tiny.
But I would say that the physical interface that triggers this could use a lot of different technologies, but with the technology that we happen to have at hand this weekend, it's a good way of testing the concept. So it doesn't necessarily have to be physical map on top of the touchscreen. It could be, you can use sensors and all sorts of things just to trigger it. So ideally, it wouldn't be a particular building that you touch. You should be able to touch absolutely anything, and that's absolutely solvable.
Yes, and also like the river and the landscape, and absolutely anywhere. And perhaps you have your sort of secret spot where before you were old enough, you would go there and have your beer. I don't know. But it's not necessarily a significant on the map. Yeah.
As an ecologist, I've used something called the Dina Digimap and been able to use maps from history. And the scope with that is incredible. The fact that you could overlay so much and compare stories from different eras and see the links within Derby.
And in theory, because it's a base map, the base map we're using runs 1910, because it's near enough for people to have grandparents or great-grandparents who might still be alive something, but certainly they'll remember that. But that map could, because it's represented by big software, as you say, it could actually come up to a present day map or go back to
Spatial renting.
and in theory, you could, since let's say the cathedral's been there for what, 500 years, or longer than that, that one building.
1725.
Right in their mind now.
That would be a constant, isn't that? That one building, you press in each stage, they could actually report. But it says that's the museum talking, you have a red heat.
What are you going to do when sending people have interacted with people or who will give their bit to want to say so?
At the moment, it will show the latest ones first. We have talked about, because if you do this over a long period of time, there's obviously going to be posts that are a lot more interesting than others. And we have talked about ways of, one thing is that you can favorite posts, and the ones that then you can sort it on popularity rather than, or mix in with popular and new ones. And the other thing is also that you can flag ones that you don't think are relevant, or they are rude, or so you can filter them out. So you can have a sorting system like that. It's not going to be for this product.
It was just a reflection really about, I don't know if anyone's seen the project the Sci have done with Google Culture, the 3D. I suppose it's another defense of the physical model as well. And they've worked with them to kind of do 3D fly-throughs of the site every period of its history, which is an amazing period of work. And they've also had them built physical models, and then they've covered the walls with pictures and stuff from each of the people connected to that. And it's just really nice seeing that, because people have drawn to different ways of the same thing, I suppose. And I think it's also potentially with your project with the collection upstairs as well.
The way you collect all the people's stories, is that just that people send them in written? Have you thought of collecting those in sound as actually recording memories and in some way incorporating the stories that could just be told by those visitors into the eventually?
I think absolutely. At the moment, how you share the stories for the prototype is that each building that we have selected will have a unique hashtag, and you just send a tweet. So you're spreading it on the internet, but you will also, that's how we're collecting the stories here. But I don't see there would be any reason of extending this, so you could do the sound, you could do the video. We did yesterday, we actually spent a bit of time just writing a long list of ways you can share a story, because you can do that in so many different ways. And I think you can, depending on what this is going to be applied to, you can probably find quite interesting ways of telling stories, depending on what the context is, or the target group, if it's for children, or if it's, So absolutely, sound would be really, really interesting.
It would be great. We thought about originally including sounds and also thinking about the videos as well. There's a practical complication with that sometimes. Sometimes if people are forced to record something, they go, or same thing with a video. You really need some sort of mediator there to help people along sometimes. If anyone's done any of the video stuff for Museomix,
like that. Take number 5. Take number 10.
That's much more of a sort of follow-on project but on history, where if they're interested in collecting things that could then later. So it could be creating
It's been shown in oral history that just sitting down with someone with an empty table and a notepad or a recorder and asking them questions is one way of doing it. But if you actually have an object there or something tactile that they can touch and hold, say, tell me first of all about that object, and that sort of triggers a load more brain, eye, hand stuff than just asking a question. You're right, and I hope something like this, because you've literally got something to touch and press, and that's a trigger, gives you an excuse to say something, it gives you an excuse to react to it.
Not a question, just all observation. But there's a lot of work around user stories being told, and not a lot about archiving. And someone can crack that technological bit in the bit of someone collecting it and it then going back. Database migration. That's probably right. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, in a way, it's all stored here. I mean, what people share, and we have the date and the time when they do it, because it just records it that way.
And I wonder if you might encourage a few more people to give their stories. If you had like a keyboard right there that they could type straight into, because not everyone has Twitter.
Yeah, what we're going to do actually for the prototype that we will create, just to make it easy, we set up a unique Twitter account for the application, so there will be an iPad there. So if you don't have your phone, it's all loaded in, ready. You can just go ahead and type, and it will broadcast via that Twitter account rather than your own one. So people will have a chance to. They don't have to go and find their phone and log in and do the rest.
Anything else? Well done, guys. When you are entertaining through the center plates. Come on, Ryan, look out. Okay, so we all know how integral cake is to the whole Museomix experience. So I suppose it was no surprise that the cafe really caught people's attention yesterday. And so a sense of place, which I think is the best of the whole of this year. Quite quickly you settled on an idea that you wanted to do something with plates and a table, and it'd be a whole user experience that would draw people into thinking over conversation about the collection that was in the cafe. So I'll let them tell you how it's developed over the past day.
I think most of us haven't actually seen this video, so I think it's really better if we watch it. What questions can I answer?
Sets of plates. So that recently at the Derby Museum and Art Gallery, they have changed the porcelain collection, so it has become a part of a cafe. Now this is great because more people are now visiting this collection and seeing it than they did previously. However, we feel that in many respects, the collection is continuing to be merely a wall decoration. So as a result, we're working on a tabletop interactive that people can do while they're having their coffee, and which will help them explore their surroundings in a new way. Now, what this interactive is going to contain is basically a projection, which is going to be motion censored, that they'll be able to swipe and use while they're on the table, and which will allow them to basically create their very own design. Now, what we have here is a table for our visitors to arrive with their coffee and cake, and in the center of the table, you'll be able to see projection. Now, on the main projection there, you have got a question: what's precious to you? Now, they will swipe that, and underneath the next layer will show them some information about the history of the collection here, which goes into some ideas about how ceramics were aspirational devices road by to show off and to say something about them. Now, from that, we intend with this projection to allow our visitors to design their very own ceramic using pictures of things that they think are precious to them, and that therefore they'll be able to create their very own aspirational ceramic. From that, they'll be able to use social media, they'll be able to use cell phones to get that design onto their phone themselves, and then obviously from that they'll then be able to use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and social media in order to share their things. So thank you very much.
Okay, do you guys have any more to add?
Well, can I just say, basically, the very first stage is you choose an image for your outer border, and they're going to be a selection of kind of single images you can choose, different things that may be popular to you. And the one you choose will be tessellated around the outside border to create a pattern. If you don't find anything there that kind of, because we needed to give some suggestions to get people started, there will be, or there could be, an option where you could draw your own image or use your own photograph or something to create your own pattern. And similarly, you can choose from an image bank for a central image, or perhaps upload a photo or a drawing or something that you've made about something personal to you, or something that you feel is sort of important in your life or says something about you.
So I'd say today, I think Rebecca made right the comment that the way to sum it up is what would porcelain look like today? And the issue is, or what's wrong with like today, it's not so much technically what it would look like, but if I had friends who were impressed, or I wanted to impress, using the tableware. But that was one of the main purposes of what tableware is for, is that you would use it to show off your status, your aspirations, your wealth.
Your holiday pictures.
Your holiday, exactly, your holiday pictures, which Jonathan mentioned you would usually buy after you came back, because you didn't want to carry it with you. So the idea is, what would you pick on, what would you put on things like plates if you were to do that today? What would people decide was precious to them, what they want to be?
And a lot of this came out of, we had a lot of discussions this morning about the content based on the feedback yesterday. And a lot of this came out of the idea of being in that space where you're safe and sharing with your friends, and you're sharing things and sharing stuff about yourself over a cup of tea, as we always vent over a cup of tea, or in the pub later. And that's how we sort of got into the symbology and the patterns, and how these designs were built up and how they were personalised to everyone. I don't know if that's
How about it tapped into the conversation you were having and then started changing the pictures?
Well, we did think about that. First of all, no idea how to do it. And second of all, this Kathy's very noisy.
And if there's something about privacy,
Well,
people
well.
want to, like,
eavesdropping.
yeah, I think it was either,
This was actually one thing which early on is interactive exhibits that respond to what visitors do are great, as long as they're not too creepy.
Some porcelain is quite creepy.
Yeah.
Justice a bit if it just was a little bit dark, some of it.
Okay.
There's another hand up back here, Rosie.
So I was just wondering, I think yesterday you were talking about maybe using some of the borders or central images from the ceramics collection. Are you still thinking of doing that at all, or is it just open on people's own?
And we're not using the ceramics collection, but you have the option to upload your own, or we have an example of an image bank, which is actually images we've taken off the PCF website, because they're nice, high quality, lovely images.
Sorry. No, but the all the kind of the pre-loaded artwork will be done in a style which is inspired by the collection. So it's creating a visual link that way, and in some magic way, if you draw your own image, you're able to perhaps use colours or something which is sympathetic, so that you end up with something that looks very much like something from the collection, but with a modern kind of bias to it.
Just what you said about the colours, that reminded me of one element of it that we didn't mention in the video, of the types of colours and colour scheme. One thing that really captured all our imaginations in the gallery was a particular yellow service, that the colour was taken directly from Pompeii. because that was one thing that was really a popular thing at the time that this was made. So the idea that the colours, we've got like silk mill orange, derby blue, that sort of contemporary, you can upload your own colours or you can choose from suggestions. Does that make sense?
Yeah. When you said about sharing and things, do you think this could serve as an alternative postcard? So if you were a tourist, you could send a plate, but when you design your plate, send the plate, you know, the design gets put on manufacturing and automatically sent out to the world around the world.
There's an option menu at the end that gives you a variety of what you can do now, whether it's to send it to your phone directly, you can take a picture of it and share it, or we have a nice little, go to this gift shop and see what you can turn it into.
But don't send that one in the post, obviously.
No, but that's definitely something that we were thinking about. And we're also discussing how this could be turned into an archive and how users could be offered the option to provide a bit of narrative and context around their plate and how that could be captured and incorporated into displays and things, which is what we're trying to do.
It's obviously about making and sharing, having fun together and collaborating. I think the concept, is really good, and I think, that it is something that, could be made into a real product. One piece of advice I would focus, for that reason, I would focus very much on the user experience, the interface, how you interact with it, and to put a big crucial, remove the text because it doesn't add anything.
We've got that.
Yeah,
in mind.
I mean, I literally mean remove the text and just focus on making the experience, nice in terms of the user experience, the interface, and you can just try it out, within, you could even, I don't know if you've got time, you can try it out. Some people don't know the project, just have some pieces of plate and say, what would you do?
One thing that was mentioned when I was going around earlier in the day getting feedback, we were talking about the text, and I watch people at work using interactives, and text is a big problem when you've got too much of it because people are impatient, they want to get on with it. And what some of the people I was talking to suggested was maybe having the text at the end product, sort of saying, well, you picked this particular type of yellow, which was, Pompeian yellow and was very, very prestigious in its time and whatnot. So when you get to the end product, you get a sort of description of some of the things that you chose and some of the deeper meanings you might not have first have been aware of. What do people think about that in general? Do you think that's a good idea or is it a bad idea?
Yeah. Congratulations, you got your head 1772.
So really, really simple. When they do like, what your outfit says about you.
But it has to not be a personality quiz. That's it can't be a Cosmo quiz at the end. You pick darby blue. That means that you should.
Why not? That's what people do on that.
That's you're reading vulgar.
This was used by the aristocrats, or this was used by the working class. This was actually not tableware. This was putting on the wall.
If it says something about the person, I think people willing to share it with the book.
Yeah, it's just about the equity, isn't it?
Yeah, it has to relate together. I understand what you mean, because it's easy, but in Quebec they did that with Ferrand and Leduc and famous painters, and they asked people which are the most kind of thing, and it was like a quiz, the person. People got sharing it and talk about the edition, and you brought them somewhere else.
With that collection, I think you can get cheesy as well.
And in your face.
Yeah, well, and at least a quarter of the collection sell. He's very cheesy. There was this error. Well, it's a phenomenally cheesily bad taste. It was immensely popular.
We're also looking for your views. What is precious to you? What would you put on the plate? So please send us your answers, and we'd like to see what.
See, for me at Darwin, so it's precious to me, and I want to get on with two separate things.
Well, but that's an interesting point, because a lot of crockery was for display as opposed to for use.
Yeah.
So there were situations where people would think exactly those two things.
People are much, to be blunt, much more interested in other people than they are about what it says about people.
Yeah.
So that.
Well, which is why this is a social activity.
Anything
I
else, guys?
think it's a really good idea. Yeah.
Hold on. Engage. And then we have alcohol. That's what I do. It's not quickly.
Thank you. So it's a challenge to be a facilitator, and I've learned a lot about myself during these 2 days, thanks to these lovely guys. And even though we left, about 9 of us left today in the morning, I think the team did really well. They're so well organized and so professional. That's what I'm good, but anyway. And I think that they have a lot of true museums, and they moved quite forward from what we had yesterday. So now, welcome the team and enjoy our video.
So the kind of title of what we're doing has changed because we went back last night and we thought, okay, we need to do this. We think it's a great idea. We need to make it bigger and bolder. It's a working title because I know the members of the team don't particularly like the railway people, as a cross between railway children and the village people. But it may change by tomorrow, hopefully. So I think we play it first and then we'll cover things.
As you enter the gallery, signs will direct you to download an app or pick up the tablet for a new view of the model railway. The app recognises landscape features and animates it with video stories of the people who lived and worked there. Then you're invited to become one of those people.
It didn't do this before I exported it.
I think it's also important to add, we come up with these extras, there's another secret as well, which only if we get time will we deliver. But we come up with these, here comes my one. And we did this last night with our full team, and unfortunately 2 of them decided not to come back this morning. We still wanted to stick with our project, and thankfully we've had people step in like Laura's helped us out, and Anna, but also the tech team. People have been very helpful and supportive about making sure we're doing the right things. Hopefully tomorrow you can be the judge of that.
Any questions or comments?
Frank?
It's just really good to see the connection, sorry, between now that you've made, I think, between them and just really.
I showed Jerry this afternoon. I'm really excited because he was super excited about it. He's going to be our guinea pig tomorrow.
Somebody, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, so a tech question around how you're doing the scanning of the environment?
It's just Erasmus. Just augmented reality. So if everybody wants to download Erasmus today or tomorrow, then you can be real good testers for us tomorrow. We're trying to take the pain of the logging on and stuff away from them, so they'll just take my iPad and go and do it. But if you tech people have got no excuses. And it's hashtag MMUK14 is the search for that on Erasmus, and you should be able to find the pictures and what it is you need to match up.
Is that on your Tumblr also? Can you put it out on your Tumblr so we can find it that way? Any other questions or comments? What was that?
Erasmus, AURASMA, the sponsors firm.
You can put a link on
I took a link out, but I'll put it on there.
I'll find it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Good on you for keeping going.
Yeah, well done, guys. Okay, we're going to end with the sample work. I'm sorry, I was going to say keep more details, apparently.
Okay, this is my sample room team I've been really having a privilege to work with. Today, we've gone through lots of iterations, and I think yesterday we were quite bogged down with the limits of practicalities, but today they've been much more inspired by the possibilities rather than limits of things. They've come a long way, lots of expanding and refining, extending, refining, but they have found a meeting ground due to their perseverance to all be enthusiastic about it and find that meeting middle ground, which is amazing. And they express their enthusiasm on it. They're under Tumblr, you said you're a young and international team. And I think they are our youngest and most international team. And they're too modest to say it, but they're also most clever. But I'll turn it over to them, and you'll see where they're at today.
Whichever wants to take it. I think we should introduce a bit, because for one, we have subtitles on the video, which are quite crucial to understanding what's happening, and you might not be able to read it. So smooth around this, you can see. Maybe what was good to say is that we were, like the last presentation yesterday as well, we were sending out our objects that wanted your attention. People don't remember? Okay, good. We've really evolved since then, our idea. So what we've added into it after we spoke to Dom was to get biometric data from people that are seeing the objects, so we could measure like pulse, heartbeat, temperature to see how people really react to objects, and still have that user voting in, so the responsive grading.
Yeah, I think that was the main point really, that like, so we're talking about auto curation, but it wasn't really auto, it was more responsive. So this idea that the artifacts in the museum are creating curation in the museum based on how people are responding to the fact. Well, that's what it's like.
That's it. And it's done about essentially through emotions and things. There's a lot about museum curation and exploring those, what that means. And the data from these objects and
The idea was like, no, you probably look at the video and think the video is totally different from what we're saying. I think basically the idea was like this idea of responsive curation. It sort of upsets the status quo of how curators in the museum generally go in and take the artifacts that are involved and then put them out onto the floor.
And there's a lot about kind of tenuous links, I suppose, for me here, being a curator, and a bit about effortless curation and not being quite precious about it, maybe. I think the one thing Cam said is we dropped social media. Yeah.
But like, we've only dropped, let's say, social media in the conventional sense, like the artifacts are still,
Right, take it back.
the artifacts are still social, you know, like they have those social capabilities. Maybe we should just split it.
So I can feel something. So I can feel something. You made it touch, 'cause I've been missing it. And you know, strangers,
I'm really happy to be hanging out here in the Derby South now. I worked in the store for 130 years. It feels great to be able to museum for where I get to see those people.
Yeah, so when we saw the brick turning around, I feel like this happiness. You stood by brick and chosen it as your favourite object. And because you've chosen that brick, that then voted socially for the cup, which is tenuously linked to the brick because it's made from Denby, which the brick would also be from. So all of that nuanced detail you probably didn't get. But it's the other thing I want to say was obviously, yes, there was some technologically.
Yes. Any questions or comments? Go on, Matt.
I think I speak for everyone in the room. What happened to people?
I think Pinkle's probably still available somewhere in the building. It's not a support group for anyone in there. And maybe that could be one of the objects. That's something we were talking about, having some kind of, contemporary or personal thing stuff that people bring in. So maybe you can rescue people and bring it in, and that could be your object. Anything else? Can I just say I love this project because it's so cute. I personify and name everything, and I think it's going to like me and get really invested and wanting their objects like running around and beep at them. And, yeah, it's great. Secretly love all the objects. Yeah, sorry.
You don't know this, but so cute is the phrase I've been using all day. In a good way, not in a patronizing way.
How are you proposing innovation in people's life?
Currently we can do it with Connect, and that has a technology, and we're working with the amazing tech team here to deliver that. But we're quite confident that we can actually have that, feed it in, and then actually have a response from the object in some way, whether it's spinning around or flipping up or lighting up.
And you had the mark in the audio there.
Yeah, so maybe it's telling the story or something like that. It could be audio.
I've just done a little bit of research on this while something else, and everybody's phone, particularly anything over 1,005 ever, has got reads or apps on it that measure your extra taking. I'm proposing that's a useful way of helping this and thinking about how people get it. Well, maybe another measurement, maybe it wouldn't take much.
It's a bit of a main question really, but how are you going to cope with all the non-object related emotions that people have because their kids are running around screaming or other people's kids are running around screaming?
That's a really good question. It's going to be a room, first of all, so it's not going to be in a big space. So we hope to limit a little bit the people that came in the room this way.
You kind of explain that that's what's happening in the room as well. So yeah, that's kind of how
Can you imagine that, like a company in chaos, everyone's running around and all these objects are like.
That might actually be quite interesting.
I love the way you're holding your stick like
It's a cut cross again now.
Do you have any questions for the team?
I really love this idea and art meets science approach. And have you ever thought that you've got all of this data that you might be able to collect and visually represent it and
reflect it back to the visitors that come and take part. I don't know if you've ever thought about that.
In terms of review, there was something that was really helpful about potentially a screen and showing rating.
Yeah,
Feedback.
kind of a map or a graph, something like forward.
Well, one thing that would be that maybe you kind of had a faster looking video is that maybe anyway at iPad for any object showing a profile and like so how the popularity count, how many people are using and liking him, and then kind of a timeline of the mood and the dialogue that the object had.
There's a timeline which has, starts from the birth of the object, the historical, that data that people want to know about breakfast menu, and the fact that goes up to through and stuff for data. And yeah. But we haven't quite
And what I really liked about this was on your Tumblr, the copywriting where you interviewed the brick. And he talks about like where he was born and what he enjoys about being in a wall and his favourite music. And if you thought it was cute, wait till you read his story. It's going to be even cuter.
You did also cover my favourite question today. If you were a brick, what would make you happy?
Is there any way that it could live, if you weren't feeling like very happy or inspired by the object, is there any way that it could describe a new object that you might feel? Visualization. Because it's taking your biometric data, so response back.
One of the things that Lucy is working on for as a support object, so she get a punch. So that you might actually. It's getting a bit surreal now. Run away,
Major improvement from last time tonight. Please, are you proud of yourself?
Yeah.
Are you proud of yourself? So tomorrow is going to be a little bit different because as you can see, there's a big tent outside. We've got the Next Gen conference coming on Tuesday, so things are moving just a little bit. We are still going to do our real prototype for 4 or 5 o'clock. So that's going to be a goal. Your facilitators are walking through that. But you will have about a half hour to go and fix or update anything between 5 and 5:30 when we're doing pizza and beer. But we also need to collapse our tables and areas. So the area that we're working in, we need to kind of move out of 5, 6.
We just need to have cleared up. We don't have to be above that.
Yeah, but we need to kind of clear it out as much as possible. So just be aware of that. The facilitators are going to go through and find out who's staying and who's leaving and who's going to be here on Monday, and that would be fantastic. And then also, there was one tweet, I can't think of it right off the top of my head right now, but it was the one tweet about, I walked by with I asked pet shop for a rope. Who said that? Can you repeat loudly what you said?
But I just asked the tech shop for a ladder, a rope, and a knife, and had it really got that bad.
And also, it was also, they never asked any questions. If you hear anything, we thought it would be cute if we got some collections of overheard at Museomix UK type things. There's many of them. We were talking at dinner time with the university students, and they were just like one after the other. It's like, wow, what is happening up there? What are we missing? I think you did incredibly well. You should be really proud of yourself. How do you feel? And I'm not being Kathleen with her evaluation, but from last night to this night. Yeah, you're like one more night. Alright, still got another one to go. Do you believe it was just 24 hours that I was yelling at you for not having been innovative? And look how far you came. I mean, you have teams well, 2 people never came back, actually. But Dennis, for your team picking up. So, we do got some alcohol back into things, but I think you should go back, maybe rethink about before you get sloshed. Think about your feedback, think about where you're going for tomorrow morning, because we do got a very limited time. The tech shop's going to be stretched tomorrow, the high lab's going to be stretched tomorrow. So if there's anything that you can kind of give them or warn them about tonight, that would be great. Is there anything else I need to mention? Yeah, that's what the photos. Yeah. Do we have a photo? Oh, do you have that question?
I have a question. What time do you have to be out tonight?
11.
11.
Yeah.
Alright, you said that.
And or when the alcohol runs out. Sorry. Okay. Move on. Okay, so really fast. Well done, everybody.
Please go to the screen and project. Yes. That can go to the screen. Yeah, I think the screen is really sharp. And I got that in teaching my that's a very similar to PDA. It's a little tougher. We guys explain how I need to know the machine. That's one machine connected to the projector the screen. The Alternative is if there is another computer, just okay, that's all right. Yeah.